you've already broken the record of Israel's longest serving prime minister. That was David Ben-Gurion. And so it must be, I don't want to say difficult to set goals, but over the course of your premiership, especially the 13 years that you were just in the office, before you were given the sabbatical to write your book, the Israeli politics sort of changed to the extent that there was a consensus built around this sort of center-right outlook on the peace process, on security, on the economy. A lot of the arguments that you guys have made over the years seem, I don't want to say settled, but in a Jewish state, nothing is ever really settled, right? There's never one opinion among all these people, but they feel like they have really shifted in that direction. And I heard somebody once say that today people like Bibi Netanyahu refer to himself as a Jabotinskyite, as many on the right do, but nobody on the left refers to themselves as a Ben-Gurionite. So that says something about the long-lasting ideological legacies. Why is that? Why is it that you can easily find a Jabotinskyite, but you can't find a Ben-Gurionite? Why did Israeli politics move in that sort of direction where the consensus went into somebody who 100 years ago was trying to fight his way from the outside in?
Well, first of all, I think Ben-Gurion in many ways adopted Jabotinsky's iron wall idea without a question, because he's credited not only with leading the declaration of statehood, which he did against considerable opposition, but also for leading the formation of the IDF. So he really bought the iron wall, which, as I said, I thought had to be expanded to the free economy that builds the iron wall of military strength. But why is it? Because, people tried the idea of territory for peace, and we gave territory and we didn't get peace. We got territory for terror. And so, Oslo has become sort of a bad word, the Oslo Accords. It wasn't even raised in this recent election. Nothing. I mean, the left has sort of melted down because we gave up territory. We got out of Gaza, and we got Hamas, which is an Iranian proxy. We got out of Lebanon, and we got Hezbollah, which is an Iranian proxy. From both Gaza and Lebanon, we've had roughly 20,000 rockets fired into Israel, okay, which is a tiny country. So just imagine, you give up territory, you have 20,000 rockets fired into the United States. Well, you'd think that people would be hesitant after that to give up even more crucial territory, which is the heartland of the Jewish state, the hills overlooking Tel Aviv and surrounding Jerusalem. We're asked to shut our eyes, hope for the best, hope that the Palestinians who still cling to the fantasy of destroying or dissolving Israel would not be taken over by the radicals or to pursue these fantasies of eliminating Israel. So people obviously, public opinion, by dint of just experience, empirically, they understand that that's not the case. I argued that as Israel becomes stronger under my policy of empowering it militarily, economically, militarily, would also be empowered diplomatically, and that we could pursue a peace with our Arab neighbors that went around the Palestinian veto, not recognizing Israel and seeking its dissolution. And people said, you can't do that. You have to solve the Palestinian problem. Otherwise, you'll never get to a broader peace with the Arab world. And mind you, the Palestinians are 1 to 2% of the Arab world. I said, no. If we wait for the Palestinians, we'll wait another half century until we can make peace, another quarter of a century, until we make peace with the next Arab state after we made peace with Egypt and Jordan 25 years ago, was the last peace treaty we had. And I had to break out of this mold. And I said that power will not only give us the iron wall, power will give us peace. And that went completely at loggerheads with the prevailing view, both in Washington and in the Israeli political elites, that it's not power that will give you peace, it's peace will give you power. And I said, but if the cost of peace is making yourself so vulnerable that you won't be able to protect yourself, that peace will hold about 5 minutes. To secure the peace, to get the peace, and then keep the peace in our surroundings, which are not exactly Luxembourg democracies, right? To keep the peace, to get the peace and keep the peace, we have to be very powerful. And it took me a while to persuade President Trump. Couldn't persuade President Obama or President Clinton, with whom I worked. And by the way, I respected both, but I disagreed with them. I couldn't persuade him on that. Okay, couldn't persuade President Obama on Iran, but I respected him. I did succeed after a while to persuade President Trump and his team that we have an opportunity, because of the rise of Iran's power and the rise of Israel's power. Arab countries began to look differently at Israel, not as their enemy, but as their indispensable ally against Iranian aggression, which threatens them as well, and also as a source for crucial innovation in areas like energy, water, medicine, you name it, okay? Because Israel is a juggernaut of innovation. As a result, we made 4 historic peace treaties with Arab states, with the United Arab Emirates, with Bahrain, with Morocco and Sudan, because of this different approach, which I had to work on. I described some clandestine meetings that I had before the 2016, before the rise of the Trump administration. I already had secret meetings with Arab leaders to lay the foundation for the historic Abraham Accords, which were helped later, of course, by President Trump and his team. But we couldn't get there without making this shift in Israeli power. Israel becoming a power among the nations also allowed us to make peace with the surrounding nations, or begin to. If you ask what's my second goal, blocking Iran, but now expanding the circle of peace in a way that would be even a greater quantum leap, because there are countries there, and the most important country by far, I think in many ways in the Arab world, although I think that the United Arab Emirates were incredible. Their leader, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, is a visionary leader of tremendous historic importance. But the next step would be an extraordinary leap, because it would effectively end the Arab-Israeli conflict, not the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, but the Arab-Israeli conflict. And that is, of course, peace with Saudi Arabia. And I believe we can get peace with other countries as well if we do that. It's up to the Saudis. It's their decision. But I think that that is one of the goals that I see. Stop Iran, expand the circle of peace beyond our wildest dreams, and continue developing Israel as the innovation juggernaut of the world.